You're browsing Steam and you see an interesting looking game. You decide to buy the game, and when you open it, you see the Black Tabby Games logo appear. You hit New Game, then you hear the narrator say,
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them. Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. You take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here.
Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. Good. You're still listening to reason. You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world?
Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something?
You step forward, your grip on the blade tightening as you steel your resolve.
Oh? No talking then? Fine. What even makes you think you can kill me? I'm probably chained up in this basement for a reason, right? And if that knife is the only weapon you have, you'll have to get close enough to use it. So, you should just drop it. Best not to risk finding out what I can do.
She's unarmed. If you hesitate now, it'll be too late. End this. You lunge forward without a moment's hesitation. You feel flesh easily give way and look down to see your blade already sinking deep into her heart.
Oh. This is it, isn't it? I'm almost embarrassed. I should have seen that coming. But I have to wonder, do you actually believe this was enough to kill me?
It's like she's convinced she can't die.
Yes, even as she lays there dying, she entirely believes herself to be alive and well. But it's over, isn't it? She stopped breathing moments ago, that arrogant look still plastered on her face.
But is it over?
really over? Yes, exactly. It's over.
Perfect game. It met my expectations perfectly and everything was flawless. 10 out of 10. That's going to do it for this video, and thank you for watching. But of course, that's not the only way this game could end, is it? Welcome to another episode of Nykatt Reviews. As you have seen, this video is about Slay the Princess, a visual novel choose-your-own-adventure game made by Black Tabby Games. Now, I had known about this game's existence for a while now, but never really thought about it. I saw someone talking about it online and it piqued my interest, so I decided to give it a go. I was not ready for what kind of game it was or how invested I got into it. So Slay the Princess is a visual novel, but unlike most visual novels where your choices may open up different ending routes down the line, in this game almost every selection you will make will immediately have an effect on the story that unfolds. For the sake of not spoiling this game as much as possible, I will not say anything about any of the routes or endings. This game has multiple routes. Every choice you make can put you on a different route, and once on that route, every choice you make can either put you on another route or give you a different ending to that route. The game has multiple endings. One of those endings can be achieved by doing exactly what I did at the start of this video. Go in, don't talk to the princess, slay her, leave. But depending on your choices, there could be many more endings. From my own experience playing this game as of writing this video, I've gotten 5 endings. And I have seen most of the routes, but I've only gotten 29% of the achievements, which shows just how much depth there is in this game. You can play this game any way you'd like. Play it like a choose-your-own-adventure game and just follow choices you'd make and reach whatever ending happens to occur from your choices, which is exactly what I did for my first playthrough of the game. Doing this should only take you a few hours. You can go through the game piece by piece trying to get every outcome of a route to happen, or you can hunt for the different endings and achieve all of those. Another thing to note with this, a lot of the endings will even have different events happen within the same ending depending on the routes you ended up on and the order of which they happened. No playthrough will go exactly the same, so despite it being a fairly quick game on the surface, this game has immense replay value. This game does a good job covering most of its bases with any action you could feasibly want to take in a situation. Whether you have questions you want answered, whether you want to do something that you think the game wouldn't allow for, whether you want to just spite the narrator at every turn, you can. Speaking of the narrator, he's the main driving force of the story. He will tell you what you should be doing and will try to convince you that you should be doing it if you question him, or if you decide to do something else. He will also do his best to never give you a good answer as to why you are in the situation that you are. He will be joined in your head by the voice of the hero, and depending on your route, a myriad of other voices, all voiced by Jonathan Sims, who did a fantastic job with all the voices, making their tones and mannerisms different to more easily differentiate them. The only other characters in this are another outside force on the story, similar to the narrator, but not in your head, that I will not be talking about in this video. You'll just have to play the game to learn about them. And then, the princess, both of which are voiced by Nicole Goodnight. So the princess, the titular princess that you are here to slay. When you first meet her, there is nothing special about her. She is just a princess, and as you saw from the start, pretty easy to slay. But depending on your choices, she changes, both personality-wise and appearance-wise. However you think she'd respond after whatever choices you made is generally how she responds. This means the tone of the game can shift drastically depending on your actions. While this game is tagged as a psychological horror game, and it most definitely always is, it can shift from comedy to action to thriller to tragedy to, of course, a love story. All of this decided by the choices you make and the route you're on. You will get invested in this game. You will want to save the princess. You will want to slay her. You will get more and more distrustful of the narrator as the game goes on, but sometimes you'll feel that he's right. All while the other voices in your head will be trying to persuade you to go along with their thoughts and feelings on the situation. And that's part of the beauty of this game. With so much going on around you, all the voices trying to tell you what to do, you are still the one in charge. If you want to try and find a way to save the princess, you can. If you want to slay her, you can. If you just want to leave, you can try. Changing subjects a bit, There probably has been another thing you've noticed about this game this whole video. The art style. I could not have chosen a better art style for this game if I tried. It's incredibly unique. It makes you feel like you're in a novel. It makes you feel the world is extra gloomy and scary. It stands out from every other game I've played. I'm honestly in love with the art of this game. Then, there's the music. A beautiful but somber and melancholic track greets you at the start of every Chapter 1. This first song is, to me, iconic. You'd only need to hear the first few piano notes to know exactly where it was from. But then, in the next chapters, it twists. The same melody is there, but it's different now. It lets you know that something is wrong. Sometimes, very wrong. You have to do something, anything, before this gets more out of hand. But what? With each new chapter that appears before you, it changes more to the point of becoming unrecognizable. So much of the atmosphere in this game was achieved through one track being changed and twisted to fit the needs of the route. So, did I find any flaws in this game? Yes, but these flaws to me are nitpicks at most. I personally didn't love the placement or size of the text box for your choices. With how many choices you could have in a scene and how detailed they could get, you'd sometimes have to scroll a bit to find a choice you wanted, and many of the choices, other than what I would probably say are the most obvious choices, would be hidden. At times, this made picking choices feel a little overwhelming. If that's what they were going for, then they fully achieved it. Still, I probably would have had an even better experience with the game had the text box been bigger. Otherwise, the only flaw for me personally is that sometimes the voice acting felt a little bit off. Not bad, but not great. Most of the time, however, I found the voice acting phenomenal. So, should you play this game? If you've been listening to me at all this video, is that really a question? Yes, you should. You clicked on this video, right? You have to be somewhat interested. Now, if you just happened to see this video and got curious, if you mostly play games with little story and are more into playing games with a ton of action like shooters, sports games, or simple beat-em-up style games, maybe this isn't the game for you. But if you like games with rich stories at all, give this game a shot. Please. More people should play this game. So, for my scores. If this is your first time watching, which probably is considering I've only made one other video and a short, and neither have gotten more than double-digit views, I give games scores in the categories of gameplay, story, visuals, sound direction, and an X factor, which is either something that got me to play the game, kept me playing the game, or is a unique feature of the game itself. For gameplay, 9 out of 10. While it's a visual novel and there isn't much gameplay, the gameplay that is there is the choices you have to make and the text box itself. I'm not going to judge the gameplay for a visual novel and an action game like a Souls-like the same. For story, this is an easy 10 out of 10. The main selling point of the game is its rich story based off of the choices you make. Every route I was invested in, and I would feel bad about how things went in it, even when I was just trying to complete the different endings for completion's sake. Visuals also get a 10 out of 10. It's such a simple art style, but it works incredibly well, both for setting the tone, but also for making you feel like you're actually in a choose-your-own-adventure book. Sound direction is only getting a 9 out of 10 for me. Once again, what originally starts as a simple track gets twisted in a multitude of other ways for every route, and even sometimes sequences within routes, which to me is absolutely beautiful, and had it been the only thing for sound direction, it would have been a 10. But the voice acting felt a little bit off to me every now and then, and for that I can't give it a 10. Now the X factor. For this game it's the princess. Specifically because how she changes based on the route creates a bunch of mini stories inside of this larger story being told. Since she changes so drastically despite technically being the same character, each version of her is treated like its own character. Each version is also treated with a good amount of respect. Each version of her also makes you care for her, fear her, or hate her in its own unique way. Once again, this gets a 10 out of 10 for me. When I first started thinking about this video idea, I thought the game was good, but I didn't think I'd give it as high of scores as I did. But when I got to thinking about this game more, I realized that I was in love with this game. Normally I'm a person that likes competitive and challenging games, but sometimes you just need a simple game with a unique but incredibly deep narrative that is just able to suck you entirely into its world. This may be my favorite game I've ever played now, which is shocking to me just a few days before writing the script. This game gets a combined score of 9.6. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching, and if you liked my video, throw it a like, comment if you have something to say, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. And I'll see you in the next one.